Alright, what's going on everyone? We have the deck list for the challenger decks. I'm on the MTG Goldfish page because I want to talk about the prices because, well, just look at this first one. The prices are very good this time around. They're actually pretty sweet. So I want to just do a brief overview. We'll do our full deck rundown, which deck should you buy style video closer to release. These were announced yesterday and or maybe 2 days ago by the time you see this, I don't know. But I just wanted to go over this really quick, show you guys the decks, and show you why I'm pretty excited for them this time around. So first off, let's just look at the prices. I think that's probably, that's why I'm on MTG Goldfish. I wanted prices. So first off, the mono white aggro deck, $100. $100 for the mono white aggro deck. That's pretty great. The Dimir control deck, $130. We haven't seen a deck this valuable since the second round. The first round, the first batch of decks were all $90 to $110. And the Arcane Tempo deck, when it was first released, was around $120. So this is one of the most valuable challenger decks that we've seen so far. So that's pretty great. The Gruul Stompy deck, $112. That's fantastic. And then the worst deck of the batch in terms of value, $65 for the Rakdos Vampires deck, which is still pretty close to on par with the second batch of challenger decks that had that United Assault deck. That United Assault deck was the worst deck of that batch, which was also around $60 to $70. So our worst case scenario, the worst value deck you can possibly get, again, purely in terms of value, not in terms of the deck's power, is double the MSRP or the retail price, which I have an Amazon page open. We'll just look at this really quick. These are the pre-order prices. I'll leave links to these in the description if you want. No need to use that if you don't want to, but it's there. But we can see the pre-order prices, 23, 23, 23, 23. Yeah, they're all 24 bucks. The full set, if you want to buy all four of them, $100 when just the Dimir control deck is worth 130 is not bad, not bad. So from a value perspective, this is looking pretty good. Do note that these prices will go down over time now that people know what cards are going to be printed in them. Like people who have memory deluge, whether they're local game stores or investors or collectors, whatever, people will start selling these over the next couple months. So this price will go down slowly, and then after they release, the prices will plummet a little bit because, there's just going to be more of the cards. So the prices will go down, but this is the one of the highest announcement date prices that I've seen since the first round. The first round, the lowest was 90, the highest was 110. So it's a little bit more consistent, but 70 to 130 seems pretty good. So the next thing I want to look at is the mana bases. The mana bases are insane with this batch. First off, we have a Faceless Haven. This is interesting. This card is banned in Standard. And Wizards of the Coast has announced that you can use Faceless Haven in tournaments so long as you do not edit this deck. If you leave this deck completely intact, do not change anything, they will let you continue to use your Faceless Haven. So presumably, these decks were printed before the ban announcement, right? So they basically had these decks in a warehouse, then it was banned, and they're like, crap, well, what of these decks has a banned card? What do we do now? And these are intended for Friday Night Magic play, right? They want people to buy these boxes, buy these decks, and just play at Friday Night Magic. So they're just saying, hey, if you buy this, if you go to your local game store, you buy the mono white aggro deck, you could play this Faceless Haven, that's fine. You just can't change the deck, and if you do need to replace the Faceless Haven. So, interesting rule decision that they had to make there, but there's that. Also, we got the snow-covered plains. Wasn't expecting that, so that's cool. The Dimir control deck, we have Hall of the Storm Giants. That's great. We have 4 Shipwreck Marsh. That's insane. That's $35 worth of lands. Not expected. Once again, we have these snow-covered lands. These are fairly valuable. Didn't expect any of this. So that's fantastic. The Gruul Stompy deck. Once again, we have 2 Lair of the Hydras. We have 4 Rockfall Veils. Insane. We have 4 copies of the dual land. That's just not something that we see in these decks very often. And then the Rakdos Vampire deck, it only has 2 pathways, so it seems worse, but it has 3 of the Voldaren estates, so I'm guessing that's why. Also, 2 Den of the Bugbear. It's just fantastic, man. These mana bases are actually good. Maybe suboptimal, right? There's Bloodfell Caves here. Didn't one of them have Evolving Wilds? Yeah, so suboptimal, but way better than what you normally see, significantly better. So much improved mana bases from what we usually see. And then in terms of the decks, like, are they built well? And I would say, yeah, they're pretty decent. The mono white aggro deck, it's the play 2 spells per turn version. There's two builds of this, right? There's the Code Spell Cleric, Monk, and Clarion Spirit build, where you're trying to chain multiple spells per turn to get value out of these. And then there's the more sort of tempo-y build with it has more Skyclave apparitions, it has Brutal Cathar, stuff like that. But this is a built to tier deck. We have 4 Illuminarch Aspirates, that's great. We've got a couple Skyclave apparitions. I wasn't sure if they were going to add those because they're kind of expensive, but we got those. Everything seems fun. We even got 2 Faithful Absents, so that's great. 3 Paladin class, also, $10. So, decent, pretty good. The Dimir control deck is weird just because this deck hasn't been super popular, but it has a lot of the key pieces that you would expect. Has 2 Emerith, has a Hullbreaker Horror. This is played in a lot of control decks. Also, Graveyard Trespasser, also played a lot. We have 4 Memory Deluge, that's $23. That's pretty decent. And a lot of these spells, going through them really quick, are things that are typically played. I would say the only card in this that isn't played a ton is maybe like Parasitic Grasp, is more of a sideboard card, but I mean, very, very typical blue-black control spells, pretty decent, good payoffs, no complaints there. We have Blood on the Snow and Snowlands, so that's great. They put 4 Ice Tunnels in this one because they're trying to up the snow land count, so makes perfect sense. So decent, pretty decent. I would say the only thing this deck needs is, could use like a Planeswalker, a Loth, or like a Professor Onyx, something like that maybe, but for the most part, like, pretty good. The Gruul Stompy deck is, as I expected, that Gruul Stompy, Gruul Treasure deck that was popular around the time that Midnight Hunt was released. We got the Sentinel, we got Magda, we did get a Gold Span Dragon. Someone commented saying, yeah, they're not going to put Gold Span Dragon, and I agreed with it. But nope, we got one. That's a $30 card right there. $8 worth of Magda is pretty good. $26 worth of Ranger classes. So yeah, and once again, this is a pretty solid deck. I don't remember if they ever played the Huntmaster. This seems weird. I don't know if they play Ovenwold Oddity now, but this deck was a deck. This was a deck around Halana and Elena as well. So it's like an updated version of this deck that was popular around the time of rotation. I think the only thing missing, this deck almost always played Esika's Chariot, and that's not here, but besides that, looking pretty solid actually. And then the Rakdos Vampire deck, this is the weirdest one. First off, it's the cheapest, it's the least valuable, and the deck is just weird. It does have a lot of important pieces for a Vampire deck. We get the Harvester, we get the Socialite, the only 2 of them. I would have liked to have seen 4 of these. We get the Bloodcaster though, Florian, again, would like to see, I don't know why the art's not loading. I'd like to see a couple more of those, or at least one more of those. But it's got the Immerstrom Predator. This is usually played in this deck, so it seems okay. It's got some weird stuff, like it's got this Smelter thing, which it's not even released in paper yet. Same thing with this like Voltage Surge. It's also got this card, which isn't out yet. Like a lot of the stuff is just unproven. It's still a solid foundation for a Vampire deck. Has a lot of key pieces. Also has some key pieces in the sideboard, so you could take out some of this weird stuff, like could take out this and bring in some of these sideboard cards that are usually played main board. So overall, it's okay. Like, the worst deck in terms of value and stuff is still double what you're paying. Again, you can get this for $23 and it's worth $65, and it's still a solid foundation for a Vampire deck, and that's the worst case scenario. Whereas like Dimir Control, $130, crazy, and Mono White Aggro is basically built to tier. Maybe could use like a card or 2. So I would say this batch is much improved. I would say this is one of the better batches of Challenger decks that we've gotten in a while, at least in terms of value. The deck choices are a little bit weird. Gruul Stompy, it was a deck a few months ago. Hasn't been played as much recently, and Dimir Control was never really a tier 1 deck, but it's $130 worth of cards, so it's hard to complain there. And Rakdos Vampires is decent, though the deck list is weird. And of course, Mono White Aggro is one of the best decks in Standard, so I would say this is decent. I would say it's at the very least better than like the last 2 years. And I'm impressed. I'm impressed at the value. Decent, great job. looking forward to these release. Currently, they're scheduled to be released on April 1st. There are always delays. Is that what it says on Amazon? Released on April 1st. There could be delays and stuff. There's been a lot of that recently, but a couple months we'll have these, and they're pretty decent. So I will be doing gameplay videos with these probably over the next month or two, and then of course we will do upgrade guides after they're released. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.